Once upon a time, I was born at a young age. Since I was born at such a young age, I was quickly discarded by my parents. With nothing to my name, I thought all hope was lost. That is, until I realized that deep in my non-existent pockets, someone had snuck in a copy of Sonic Spinball for the Master System. This is when I realized that hope is truly lost, and I should give up. Sonic Spinball. Oh boy, what a divisive Sonic game. People around the community as a whole either love it or hate it due to its peculiar nature as a Sonic game. It takes what Sonic has already established as a fast, speedy little hedgehog, his innate ability to roll into a ball without getting scoliosis, and his cool attitude mashed into a game for gambling addicts. With Sonic Frontier is on its way, I figured that now is the perfect time to talk about Sonic Spinball's forgotten Sega Master System port. In order to shine some light on it, that is. Sonic Spinball's development was quite interesting. According to the Sonic fandom wiki, because of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 being a commercial success for the Sega Mega Drive in 1992, Sega wanted the Sonic game to be released on the console in 1993 as well. After realizing that the Sonic team in Japan was busy making Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which will not be released until 1994, Sega of America put Sega Technical Institute to work to make a Sonic game that could be published during the 1993 holiday season. With this information in mind, we can see how Sonic Spinball development is kinda quirky. Having another part of Sega handle it, you can either lead to Bliss, or an open stairway to hell where Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric sits. Again, according to the Sonic fandom wiki, when developing the game, the crew came to the conclusion that Casino Night Zone was considered one of the best zones in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This gave the developer, Peter, I'm not sure how to say his last name, the idea of making a pinball-styled game, combining the Commodore Amiga game, Pinball Dreams, with Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay. Now, the part about Casino Night being one of the best zones leaves a lot of desired answers to a lot of unanswered questions. As a chemical plant enthusiast, I can only politely disagree, but this topic is for another video. Back to the development side of things, Sega had set a very tight deadline for Sonic Spinball, which caused the devs a little stress when creating the game. What's even crazier is that due to these deadlines, the team had to switch production code from assembly to C. This caused a lot of optimization issues and frame drops, which explains why the game seems to be in a very unstable and a very, well, unoptimized state on the Mega Drive. This raises the question, however, as to what this game is like on the Master System. I hope my eyes are deceiving me. When trying to search for information on the development of the game, I ran into some childhood deja vu when I was met with nothing. With this in mind, my lazy ass decided to move on and talk about the actual game because my viewers have been stuck on the toilet for a while and their legs might get numb. One thing I need to point out is that for some very odd reason, they decided to make one of the non-playable characters cucky. I have gone from a mere thinker to a man thinking. In this game, Sonic is basically a pinball, enough said. He goes rolling around at the speed of sound in these tight, compact pinball environments that make me wonder, how does Sonic not have motion sickness or nausea for this stuff? I mean, dude, seriously, look at the guy, he's just bouncing around everywhere. The plot is pretty basic. It just revolves around another Sonic Robotnik conflict that always ends with Tails crashing his plane. At this point, given that the tornado is Sonic's plane, I would start pressing charges, or at least trying to get a hold of his insurance. Now that Sonic is in this strange place that is unironically built like a pinball machine, he must go through a series of bosses accompanied by the very harsh sounding music. The music in this game is good when it's the menu screen. However, on the Mega Drive at least, the music seems to sound like a SoundCloud rapper from Atlanta trying to make it big. And the only thing he made big was the ever-growing tumor this music has created. The music isn't that bad, of course. I felt like sprinkling a little bit of unwanted and unfunny comedy into this video. However, the level design is, in my opinion, challenging. I do like how they incorporated Sonic's speed and ability into the level design to make you feel fast. From the menu tubes that help you get across the map, to the many shortcuts that you unlock through risk and reward, you can feel this small rush of genius and satisfaction for working your way through the clunky controls and the frame drops. Instances such as taking out the crocodile enemies at the top or landing in that toxic barrel, narrowly escaping death, feels like a true accomplishment that you'll forget about in about 3 years. And if you think I didn't go out to buy a Master System to play this masterpiece again, you're right, because I don't have that kind of money, which is why I'm using somebody else's footage, which will be linked in the description. Now that we have talked about some of the level design, let's talk about bosses. I actually like these. Albeit seeing Robotnik's face on a giant spider is not exactly pleasing to the eyes, but some of these just feel right. Something about mastering Sonic's movement and defeating these bosses hits a strange place in my brain that triggers an absolute dopamine rush. If you see a kid doing drugs on the side of the street, just hand them a copy of Sonic Spinball, and you will see them progress from a loser to an absolute disgrace. Not only will they suffer ear damage from Scorpius screams, but they'll get a nice dopamine rush to compensate for the blood rushing out of their ears. To this game's credit, the boss theme kinda slaps. Especially when you're on the final boss after beating the Vago machine. Watching Eggman just watch Sonic in absolute fear as he destroys everything that Robotnik has ever worked for brings such delight to me, and I'll happily do it again. Now with all the information I have listed, Sonic Spinball seems to be like an amazing game, right? Well, not in the Master System. I'm assuming that the 14-year-old from Atlanta committed suicide so that he wouldn't have to hear his music in this form. The Master System version makes me think that if I were to be approached by a magic genie, I would ask to switch bodies to Helen Keller, so that I won't have to hear how they massacred my boy. What's interesting, however, is that according to our best friend, the Sonic Fandom Wiki, the game's artwork on both the Sega Game Gear and Master System versions showed Dr. Ivo Robotnik from the adventures of the Sonic the Hedgehog television series. Similarly, Robotnik's in-game sprite during the final version also resembles his depiction in the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. This is unlike the Sega Mega Drive version of the game, which used a design for Dr. Robotnik that is similar to his regular main series design in both the cover and game. The total Chaos Emerald count in Sonic Spinball is 16 as opposed to the standard set of 7, and they are all blue colored. This was the final Sonic title release for the Sega Master System. However, in Brazil, a port of Sonic Blast was later released for that console as well. There really isn't much to write home about for the Sega Master System version. That isn't already obvious. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys some other time.